Good morning, good afternoon, or good night, wherever you're tuning in from. This is the BS Buddies podcast, a podcast where we talk about just about anything. We've talked about injuries we have had or accidentally did to ourselves. We've talked about bad movies, and we've talked about places we think are overhyped. So if you're into two buddies talking about pretty much anything, hit subscribe or follow. And today we will be creating deep sea creatures, because we don't know what's down there. They could be
Our
real.
specialty. Creating dumb things that probably could never exist in the real world, but we're going to go with it anyway, because why not?
Yep. So, Ian, how are you today?
I am doing pretty fantastic. I've got, wherever I just said it, a new water bottle. Wanted to show this off real quick, because this is fancy. Oh, that's just got scared out of me. Someone just tossed a bone down the stairs for the dog to come retrieve. It almost died.
Thought you
Moving
saw one
on.
of our fictional deep sea creatures that we haven't talked about yet.
You know what? It might have been. You know what? We'll go through them and then we'll decide which one I saw that scared the bejesus out of me. Also, I don't know what is making the camera do this weirdness behind me here, but it's something. It's phasing in and out of reality. Ignore it. Anyway, my water bottle that I wanted to show you is it's one of them like fancy ones where like this part here, this little straw deal is the flavor thing, and they had them on sale for like $20. We picked one up. These flavor caps. I'm gonna call it a flavor cap because that feels right. Flavor pod. These flavor pods are like, I don't know, $4 a pop, and you just put them in, and then you fill the thing up with water, and then you drink, and it has flavor. Dude, technology is a fantastic thing. This has by far been one of my favorite things because I'm trying to make it a point to drink more water at work. But I like flavor, so this is really helping me accomplish that because it tastes like Honeycrisp apple every time I take a sip. It's good for 6 refills.
Perfect.
It's not a product advertisement, by the way. This is just me geeking out about my water bottle.
Unless you want to reach out. So we're gonna go back and forth, and I think we're gonna try and do about 3 apiece. I'll start because I thought of the idea before we recorded. And I brought this, well, Ian brought it up with me, but I already had the idea. We're going to go Arctic. Like just
All right.
North, South Pole, wherever it's the deepest part, I don't really know.
Wherever the water's cold.
So, I like giant, almost, I don't know, like giant eel looking things, like with like tendrils like sticking up. And I want this thing to get up to 23 feet long. It's a big boy.
It's a very, very specific 23 feet. Is that exactly on the dot, or is this like a in between 20 and 30 situation?
They're gonna guess because they haven't discovered it yet. So they just saw this thing.
All right.
The cool thing about it is, well, I mean, it's Arctic. So at the tips of like the tendrils of this eel, it looks like icicles or like ice that is stuck to it as it glides through.
Oh, so does it like glide like close to the surface of the water? Or like I should say, can it glide up close to the surface, or is it like along the bottom, nice and slow with like ice crystals?
We'll say it usually lives about 100 feet from the bottom. And if it cannot go higher, because then it will be too warm. And that's why it stays around the bottom. But the body of it is kind of like transparent. So it almost just looks like ice just slowly creeping through the deep blue sea at the bottom.
Creeping ice, is that the nickname of this creature? Is the creeping ice eel?
We'll say that's what it's known as. we'll call it the scientific term, which I think might actually be a thing. I don't know why, but we'll call it chrysalis.
No, that sounds cool. Chrysalis. I like that.
The chrysalis
Also,
or the creeping
the
icicle.
creeping eyes. Now, for reference, just just because you and I picture things in our mind's eye differently. Please describe. So when you say in a long eel-like creature with tendrils coming from its body, are you envisioning like one head with like a bunch of tendrils coming out the back, or is it like? Because this is the first thing that popped into my head.
I'm
Is
scared.
it like the body of an eel with just like fingers coming out of it? Because you know what I thought of? You remember those fuzzy worms when we were kids? Like the fuzzy worm on a string was the magic trick, like a fushigi, where it had like the super long nose and the googly eyes, and it just had like hair on it. That's what I was imagining, but the hair is instead like
I guess
really long,
tendrils might not be the correct term. I guess what I kind of think is almost like
like an
I'm trying.
octopus.
No, for me, like I picture like coral, like the little like finger. That's not even
Like an
exactly.
amoeba, an anemone,
What? An anemone.
an anemone,
But but they're not
whatever.
very long. Like I would say like 6 inches long. They kind of go in all directions, only on the top and the bottom. And that so it's like the icicles and then the transparent body.
So, like, if you were to look at this thing from head on, would it look thin
It would
because it
look
only has?
thin because like
Okay,
eel, like
I gotcha. I gotcha. I see where you're going now. I see what
okay.
you're going. Yeah, what I was picturing was way different, and that was like a Lovecraftian horror that I would never, never want to encounter in the water. Do that. What I had pictured in my mind was just like this long snake with just like tendrils coming out of it that could just like snatch you and pull you down. And
The Alaskan
oh,
bullworm.
essentially, yes, the Alaskan bullworm's terrifying cousin or something. I don't know.
What do you got for yours?
Well, now I feel bad because I didn't put that much scientific reasoning into mine. Um,
Yeah, because I had a ton.
my first one that I told you about before we started, it's literally it's an axolotl that can glow in the dark and it can give you fist bumps because it has like a little dorsal fin that sticks out, and at the end of that fin is we'll say it's like a little bulb that it uses to communicate with other axolotls, but it's kind of like in the shape of a fist, so you can just like, hey little dude, boop. And they, you know what? Just for the sake of the axolotl, they love it when you bump it because they think you're talking with them. And they can glow in the dark. That's how you can find them, right? Because it's like deep. I don't know what depth average axolotls live at. Wait, can we
It
look that
doesn't
up quick?
matter. Hey, they haven't discovered this. You figure it out.
They have not discovered this, but now I need to know, and now I'm curious. I'll find it later.
So how long is this? How big were you
Well,
thinking?
let's say what the regular axolotls they are typically 9 inches, but can get up to a foot. So we'll say that these ones are typically a foot, but they can grow up to like 15 inches. They're the bigger cousins. They're the bigger cousins of regular axolotls. And like I said, they're glow in the dark. And to top it off, they're glow in the dark with like different colors. Like some of them have like reddish looking spots. Others is like a luminescent green. This one is kind of white in color. And I'm not their diet. Their diet determines what color it is. Like I don't they eat plants or do they eat other fish? I don't know a lot about axolotls to be honest with you.
I mean, you could
Whatever
have
they're
some that eat plankton and some that eat small fish.
some eat coral or however it goes. I think coral like rock hard and chewing on rocks. Well, their diet determines the color. Whatever they eat more of in whatever their variety of diet is determines the color that they luminesce,
Do you
if that's
have
the correct term.
do you have a specific name you'd like to
A
call them?
specific name. Well, you know what? Let's look up what the actual scientific name is so that I can have some efficacy, word of the day, to add to my fake animal. Genus. Domain? What in the world? Dude!
Domain error.
Domain. It says the name of the axolotl is network connection error. Huh. Domain is Eukaryota. Yoda. They're Yoda. They're Yoda. They talk like Yoda in my head now forever. That will be a thing. Phylum. Shut up. Phone. Phylum Chordata. I feel like that's incorrect on what I was looking for. Kingdom, class, amphibia. Well, none of this tells me anything that I need. We'll call it, since the domain is Eukaryota, we'll call it Eukaryota luminessa. I feel like that fits. I
Okay.
can't remember. Otherwise, my only other option was going to be this, whatever it is in Harry Potter, the spell that they use when they need light. I don't remember what that is.
Uh,
I'm not a big Harry
I
Potter fan. Sorry to everybody out there. I've watched the movies. Currently watching the movies with my
isn't it
girlfriend, but I
Lumo like
Lum,
Lumos?
maybe. I don't know.
Yeah.
You got me.
So for my next one, we're gonna go small, like smaller than Ian's. We're gonna go like 5 inches, so not very big. Uh, they have d- one long fin on the top, the bottom, and then they have a separate one on the end. We're gonna, and the body is purple, and the fins are like a yellow or gold. On the sides, they have two small fins on each side. The, the thing with this one, unless you, do you have a question?
No, I'm just picturing. So far, the image in my head is like an inverted surfboard. It's not just keep going, keep going.
Okay.
It's me in my head.
The,
Don't mind me.
it is a very thin fish again. But at the front, it looks like the fish has like an extreme overbite. That kind of, and its like top lip kind of curls over.
Does the fish look like it would pronounce it even? Pronounces the name
Not
Stephen as
quite.
Steven.
You can't see the teeth, but when it opens its jaw, it can extend it about 4 inches down and pull out like 4 inch fangs.
Jesus Christ. So this
So,
thing's like the saber-toothed fish of the sea?
yes, it's why I gave it an overbite is so it can like kind of sink them back in. Yeah,
Retracts
retract them.
It's like a snake. It's like a sneaky little slither little snake.
We'll say it resides, I think I saw on the map, like on the eastern coast of like South America.
All right, eastern coast of South America. That probably about tracks for something as horrific as that. They got the Amazon and all that crazy stuff out there, so that would make sense.
For some reason, like the scientific name, like Pictus, comes to my head. I don't know why.
Pick this.
Um,
Pick this fish.
yeah, I don't think it really needs a name that it's known by. It just
Nope. I don't. Well, known as the inverted surfboard. It's from the image that's in my head. Oh God.
we should draw these in our free time after what we were actually
Oh,
thinking.
that. Now, see, here's the problem. I'm not a very good artist, and
That's
my
a lie.
renditions of what I'm thinking of are not going to translate well onto paper. But I can try. I'll make um little tearaway notepad doodles It's much easier to full page drawings.
What do you got for your second one?
Well, I was gonna do an ice fish, but then you took mine with your eel thing.
What do
So
you
then I
mean?
started.
Go go ice fish.
Well, mine was almost the exact same as yours, though. The
Oh.
way like it was gonna be like it could disguise itself as like a chunk of ice floating in
Well,
the
that's
water.
different. You could have yours like bulbous. Mine is very thin.
Yours is very thin. Although I started thinking about it though, and what I would want to see, just for the sake of my own amusement, it is so this creature is like a crab. We'll say it's related to the crab family, because it makes sense. It's a deep sea dweller. That's why they don't often get caught in crab traps and all that, because you wouldn't think to be deep sea fishing for this thing. Sorry, phone call. My bad. Edit that. You wouldn't think to be deep sea fishing for these kind of crabs. Anyways, so it essentially it looks more or less the same. What do they have, like 6 or 8 legs or something like that? But instead of pincers that most regular crabs have, this guy has hammers. Like literally, his claws come out, and they form what look to be like these big mallets. And we'll say that he is located off the coast of Canada, the eastern coast of Canada. I'll say, I don't know why, that just feels right to me. He's off the eastern coast of Canada. And so he can attack his prey, right? And his prey is like snails. I don't know, do they eat snails? I
Sure.
really don't.
This one can.
This one can eat snails. I'm so bad at this. This one eats snails, and in order, and clams. We'll say clams too, or oysters, mussels, however that works when you're going that deep in the ocean, whatever. And but because he has a hard time, can't really peel them open if you got claws. He's got his hammers because he can just he's got like this trick where he raises it up and then just like a rock'em sock'em robot, just man, he just brings it down over and over again. Kind of like how the pistol shrimp has them little Dulios that can shoot out like super fast. This guy can swing his hammer really quick and like crack open shells and get in there. And we'll say that he's like yellow, like a dark gold yellow in color, just to be fancy with it.
Okay. Do you got a name?
We'll say whatever the genus domain name for crab is, plus
It's called
uh
hammer crab.
yeah, they call it a hammer crab. And yeah, the I was trying to think of a good word for hammer, and now I can't. Malatus. Malatus. Crabus malatus. And it's known as the hammer crab.
Okay.
I'll take that
Um,
one.
did you
This
say
is
how big it is? Like, is it just
oh
the size of a normal crab, or is it bigger?
yeah, we'll say that they're the like okay, well I guess
The older
normal crab.
brother?
The normal crab is pretty suggestive or okay, gray. What's subjective? Dude, words in my head.
Subjective. The
Oh
suggestive
my!
looking hammer crab.
What's a suggestive looking hammer crab? Is he showing you a little ankle? Giving you a little leg wiggle while standing on the corner of the rock?
Look at how
Giving
big
you a bit
these
of a side
hammers are.
eye? You know what else these hammers can do? A suggestive hammer crab. Oh boy. I did not think promiscuous crabs was on the list of topics that we were to talk about today, but here we
Same.
are. We'll say that their shell is about the size of like a 6-inch dinner plate, right? That gives you a pretty good idea. He's got
Okay.
like his long spindly legs, and that way his hammers are roughly the size of actual hammers, which is what gives it its effectiveness.
That works. Um, for my last one, we'll go the western coast of Africa. just switch it up. And we will. Oh yeah, my second one was South America. Okay, I just didn't want.
Making sure you
wanna
didn't
switch
want to
it.
repeat a place.
Yes. So this is gonna be one of those like bottom, like sand dwellers. One of those like flat fish.
Okay.
It's gonna
All
be
right.
like a purplish black, like kind of a translucent color. And
Okay. All right.
just because it's different, we're gonna have it kind of in the shape of, obviously not a perfect one, but like the shape of a square, like kind of a rounded square with a tiny little tail, like a 3-inch tail.
All right. All right.
We'll have, we'll say it's about 2 inches thick, and the
my-
eyes, tiny little guy. We'll say, how big do I want this? We'll say,
I know you.
go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say. I know you mean like 2 inches thick overall body width, but all I could think of was just like a brownie pan, where it's just fish side underneath, just a square block of fish, like a underwater ham.
That's even better, but that's
And you
honestly hilarious.
slap it and just pure muscle in the thing.
Well,
Oh.
we'll go the babies like a couple weeks in, they get to like 10 inches, and then they can grow up to 3 feet.
That's a big. Is that like 3 feet long, 3 feet wide, 3 feet diameter?
I mean, it's a square, so just like, I guess long.
So we'll say 3 feet diameter because that's a pretty big square. If you hold
Diameter.
up 3 feet, that's a big yeah.
Yeah, we'll
Corner
go
to
diameter.
corner, like how they measure TVs. Fun fact, if
Yeah.
you didn't know, when they measure
Yes.
TVs, they go corner to corner.
I
That's
thought
why you're
about
65
that
inches instead
measurement
of 65.
as well.
That's the one that I hit my
Well,
desk.
we'll go that they eat like kind of plankton or like other very small fish, because their mouth will be on the bottom.
Gotcha.
On the bottom towards like the front of their eyes. And if they eat enough, then they get like, you can see like their little beer belly on the bottom. Because I like that idea of just like a thick square
They're
fish.
just dragging a line in the sand across the bottom as they float.
The color is for camouflage, but they give it away when they eat too much.
Yeah. Got a little too full. Got to work this meal off. Got to go swim a couple laps around the local coral reef.
The nickname for it is a square root ray.
Square root ray. I like it. The square root ray.
Um,
I was gonna say the pancake fish. Pancake ray.
we'll go Pacus dominus is the scientific name to go with the pancake theme.
Nice.
And that is my last one.
All right. Let's see. Here's the problem. I didn't get this far in my thinking. Before we recorded this, I'm dying. Crisis averted. So I need to write down some more of my ideas again. Okay, so for a third deep sea creature, what would I want?
Let's go like the east coast of Asia. And I think that's like Mariana Trench area. I think that's about where it's at. I will double check.
That gives us a lot of good options to work with.
Yeah, like Mariana Trench area.
Okay. Oh God, Mariana Trench. Oh boy, so you're gonna need something
that
can
area.
survive high pressure. All right, so here we go. Okay, so this thing, just because of I don't know. I don't have a reason for why this popped into my head. This is just something that popped into my head. So this is a fairly long. We'll say they can get up to 24 inches in length. Up to. They come in various sizes, but up to generally 24 inches in length. And this fish sort of resembles a cross between a jellyfish, an eel, and a centipede. So the body is going to be very thin and flimsy, like near translucent. You can almost see through, whitish in color. And it will slither along, sort of like an eel does in the water. However, on the underside, it will have tons of what appear to be like little legs that help propel it. And those little legs act as like little feelers to help it find food on the ocean floor. And it eats like, plankton or algae that manages to drift down that far. And the thing that makes it cool is when you shine a light on it, it freezes in place. This is one of its defense mechanisms. It freezes in place, and then it can sort of like a chameleon does with changing color, except this guy doesn't change to match the landscape. He can sort of tense his muscles to create a near perfectly opaque, or not opaque. That's the complete wrong word. Can't talk. I can't do English today. Nearly invisible. So instead of just his normal translucent look where you can kind of see the whites of everything, he becomes like almost invisible to the naked eye when you're looking over him. Like almost like active camouflage, like Fallout, like using a stealth boy in Fallout when it makes it go invisible. And then when you shine the light away, then it waits for a little bit and then it continues on its way. So it's like an invisible fish almost.
So it plays flashlight tag.
Sort of. And its body is like a very thin membrane jelly. The head of it is like not much. You can kind of see like maybe some little ocular spots where it can like look forward, but it's like
Like a
super. It's
snail?
like kind of not not necessarily like poking out of its head. There's just like
A little bit?
at the front of it. There's just like a little sac that holds its brain and eyes and it looks and all that. But like a jellyfish, it just takes food into like its little center part and then absorbs it and away it goes.
Okay.
And we'll say the name of it is the. What would be a good one? See, this is the tough part. I'm not good at coming up with
I
scientific
mean,
names.
you could come up with like light particles, something like that, the way it can change. Particulus.
Particulus. Yeah, particulus. Hmm. I'm trying to think of something with like invisibleness or like mirrors or windows or
Particulus
particulus.
reflectus.
Yeah, particulus reflector. That sounds like a spell from Harry Potter. Jeez, we're getting
Ah, you
particulus reflectus because yeah, when you shine a light on it, because it lives in the deep sea, it's not used to seeing light down there. But when light's shined on it, it just like stops and tenses up, and then you're like, well, he activated a stealth boy. Where'd he go? And just
I think that kind of does it otherwise. Unless you
yeah.
got like a nickname for it.
Um, the no, that's too lame. If you have any good ideas, toss them at me.
Not really. Um, I mean, invisible
The fa- the
phantom eel.
yeah, the phantom eel. Call it the phantom eel because it disappears when you look at it.
With that, I think we're ready for quotes.
I think that covers it pretty. We got some good ones in there. We had some really good ones. My little axolotl that can fist bump you. I might be able to bring that to life on a little doodle sketch for you. I'm gonna need to use my reference guide over here as my starting point.
The one
But yeah,
that the one that threw the bone at the beginning of the episode was probably my 23-foot eel that I can't remember the name of now. The Arctic eel. But for quotes, I'm gonna go with one day or day one. You decide.
Ooh, one day or day one. You're really making us think with that one. My quote is kind of plays into yours, maybe, but just in the inverse way. We must learn our limits. We are all something, but none of us are everything.
I like that one. But anyways, thank you guys for BSing with us today. Hit subscribe or follow to become a bud today, and we will see you next time when we discover more fake deep sea creatures.
Here's my little axolotl that'll fist bump you. That's really terrible fist up on top.
It looks like an axolotl that just got an idea.
You know what? Maybe we'll see you guys next time when I learn how to draw fists that don't look like a really terrible 1950s incandescent light bulb. But until then, I think I'm just going to take her easy. See you guys later.